So let's talk about Guilty as Sin by Taylor Swift. This song was released on April 19th on the album The Torture Poets Department, which was the ninth track off of the album. This song's a sultry pop song about fantasizing about someone you necessarily can't have because maybe you're already in a relationship or kind of in maybe a situationship. It has undertones of religion, guilt, blurring between imagination and reality. I'm gonna get into it verse by verse. So the first verse is, "Drowning in the blue Nile, he sent me downtown lights. I haven't heard it in a while." So this samples Love If We Made It by the 1975, which features Maddie Healy, which insinuate that it could be about that person, but there's no confirmation. In addition, they have a song called Downtown Lights, which adds to the fact. So her drowning in the blue Nile kind of insinuates that she's drowning kind of in the thoughts of him, especially when she used Blue Nile, which is a band, I believe, a long time ago, which Maddie Healy mentioned that he was a big fan of theirs. That could kind of insinuate that she's drowning in him, kind of, or she's thinking about him like constantly. And it also says, "I haven't heard it in a while," which means maybe they're not talking anymore or it's been a while since they last talked. The next lyric is, "My boredom's bone deep. This case was once just fine." So when something's bone deep, that means it's been there for a while. It's kind of in your soul. So I feel like she's saying that she has been bored for quite a long time, even though everything was just fine. In the beginning, she was okay with it, she was content, this case was just fine. But as time went on, she got more and more bored, and now she kind of feels like trapped or like restless, when you're in a small space, you kind of feel restless, a little frantic, and she got bored as time went on. Just kind of simple as that. And then she follows up with, "Am I allowed to cry?" I can see this in different ways. She said the case was once just fine. That makes me like she had a fine life. The life was okay. So does she deserve to cry? Even though everything's fine, she's not in any bad situation, but she still wants to cry. So is she allowed to? And it also kind of in the same way said she's denying natural human emotion. Even though she feels that way, she doesn't want to feel that way. So she's questioning like, am I allowed to do this even though it doesn't feel right to? The next set of lyrics was, "I dream of cracking locks, throwing my life into the wolves or the ocean rocks. Crashing into him tonight, he's a paradox." So dreaming of cracking locks. So if you dream of cracking locks, it just kind of says that you're trapped in something. You want to be released. You dream of it. Like, I want to get out and be free. So if she's dreaming of crack, so she has a long-term commitment, I would assume. She dreams of just getting out of it, but she can't quite do that yet. And throwing her life into the wolves or ocean rocks, it has the opposite meaning. So when you're throwing your life into the wolves, it's fatal. You could die, and it's like maybe her thinking of this new person can just makes her restless and makes her like, ooh, want to die. But then again, her thinking about something can also mean absolutely nothing, because throwing rocks into the ocean, I mean, there's so many rocks in the ocean that throwing one single rock wouldn't make much of a difference. So she's saying that maybe me thinking this way won't even have a difference because they're only just thoughts. Crashing into him tonight, he's a paradox. So this kind of hints at a future lyric. I'll get into it once the lyric comes. But to say that he's a paradox, it kind of means that he's something that can't be understood. She can't understand him. And as the song goes, it feels like she doesn't really understand herself. The next set of lyrics are, "I'm seeing visions. Am I bad or mad or wise?" So the visions are most likely the thoughts, as mentioned before. Like, she's really thinking about doing this or doing something, but she can't bring herself to do it. And it kind of brings up ethical and moral reasoning, because she says, am I bad or mad or wise? Am I bad for thinking this way? Or am I mad? Am I going crazy? Or am I wise for leaving something that's no longer serving me to find something that I believe would be better or I enjoy more? So she's conflicted about those three things, and she can't quite come to a conclusion of what she should do. Now we can get to the chorus. So this chorus is spicy, to say the least. It starts with, "What if he's written mine on my upper thigh, only in my mind?" So writing mine or something, it's kind of like she wants her to be his. And to write mine on her upper thigh, insinuates she wants him in a spicy sense, to say the least, because the upper thigh region is close to another region, and probably in like a bedroom sense. I think you guys get where I'm going with that. But writing mine or something just means she wants him to be hers. The next set is one slip and fallen into the hedge maze. Oh, what a way to die. So that means this is a slippery slope. And a hedge maze, when she falls into a hedge maze, is kind of like you're gonna feel trapped. And she follows it up with what a way to die is kind of ironic. Oh, what a way to die. So it also means unexpectedness. So she didn't quite anticipate this coming, but she's willing to fall into the hedge maze, which I would assume are these thoughts say like, hey, what if I just did it for real? It also kind of combines terms with the hedge maze of confusion and entrapment, which kind of ties with the confusion of being in a current relationship and think about someone else, and also like the entrapment of the thoughts she has of another person if she's in a committed relationship. Now the final verse or the final set of the chorus is, I keep recalling things we never did, messy top lip kiss, how I long for our tryst, without ever touching his skin, how can I be guilty as sin? She just can't stop thinking about this person. Like no matter what, she will always like think about him. And with messy top lip kisses, then again back to the bedroom sense and yearning for some intimacy. Even though she never like touched his skin, is she guilty? Like even though she's just thinking about it, she's thinking about him all the time, romantically, intimately. Is she guilty? Is she held accountable? But she says, how can I be guilty of sin? So she's questioning like, I'm not guilty. Like, how can I be even though it never happened? With guilty as sin, sin is obviously has a bad connotation with this. So if you're guilty as sin, that means like you did something bad, which I guess she did in Reputation, but that's that's another thing. And then she also mentions tryst, how messy top lip kiss, how long for a tryst. I had to Google what this meant because I didn't know what trysts were. So basically it's a private romantic meeting. That's the basis of a tryst. If she's dreaming of that with top lip kisses, like she's obviously wanting him, like she's really down bad for him. And another connection, which may not be a connection at all, it's just be a coincidence. She has another song that mentions guilty as sin. Old Carolina knows why for years they've said that it was guilty as sin and sleep in a liar's bed. And there could be a connection, there could not be, but she says guilty as sin in a previous song. And one thing I forgot to mention, back in the beginning of the chorus, what is written mine. So, we all know Taylor has a song called Mine, but I don't think there's much of a connection between that and this. There may be a connection with Mine because the 1975 song has a song called Mine, and I don't know if he's written it, which is basically a song saying we don't need marriage to prove that I love you, which seems to kind of align with the kind of whole message of the song, but that's just something that people caught along. And because I don't really listen to 1975, I did some research and kind of gather consensus of what this song could be about. Now we get into the second verse. So it starts with, I keep these longings locked in lowercase inside a vault. When I think of it, when you keep longings, so she keeps these thoughts or she keeps these thoughts locked inside somewhere secret. She doesn't want anyone to know them, but they're lowercase. So when I think something's uppercase, that means it has importance and it screams like this is what needs to be done, right? But if something's lowercase, that means kind of more hidden, kind of more, secretive. So that's why she keeps it lowercase inside a vault. Taylor Swift in her vault. So when something's inside a vault, that means it's kept secret, kept not in the public eye. They want it to be hidden. So if inside a vault, all these thoughts, all these things locked. And there's another theory that I highly doubt, but it's something people think of, or thought about. So Folklore and Evermore are her songs that are in lowercase, basically. So people think that since it's inside a vault and the albums are lowercase, there may be a vault track in one of those albums about the person she is singing about right now. I highly doubt that, but it could be true. But just timeline wise, I don't see it being that accurate, but I'm not sure. The next part of the verse is, someone told me there's no such thing as bad thoughts, only your actions talk. When I interpret this, it's like, it ties back, like, how can I be guilty of sin? Because I feel like she was guilty at one point for someone to tell her that only your actions talk. So you're not cheating if you're not actually talking or touching the person. So it kind of leads back to the chorus, like, maybe since she never touched him or never, did anything with him, she can't be guilty of sin. Because someone told her that only your actions talk. Do I agree with it? No, but that's for another topic. Seems like she felt guilty at first, but someone put her more at ease when they said, only your actions talk. And now the last part of the second verse is, these fatal fantasies, giving labor breath taking all of me. We've already done it in my head. If it's make-believe, why does it feel like a vow we're both uphold somehow? So there's a lot to unpack there. So these fatal fantasies. So she's thinking these thoughts might kill her metaphorically. Like it might just take over and like kind of go in a bad way. Especially with her like reputation and how big she's gotten. If something bad happened, it's gonna be a big bad mess. So giving way to a labor breath taking all of me. So that means like he's breathtaking. Like no matter what she thinks, he's breathtaking. And all of her is like thinking about him. And the sentence that we've already done it in your bed, in our bed? Was it? No, done it in my head. Oh, okay. We've already done it in my head. So back to the bedroom sentence. Very spicy. Probably already know what that means. She keeps thinking it. And she thinks about it so much that it's blurring the lines between reality and imaginary. Because it's like she follows with, why does it feel like a vow we both uphold somehow? So she feels that as she thinks about this more, it feels like more of a deeper promise or connection. And she says vow, which kind of insinuates a deeper promise, most correlated with marriage. So even though it's not real, it feels real to her and is blurring the lines between imaginary and reality. For chorus 2, there's only 3 new lines, so I'm not going for the whole chorus again, but these 3 new lines are, my bedsheets are ablaze, I screamed his name, building up like waves, crashing over my grave. I remember listening to the song for the first time, and when I said, my bedsheets are ablaze, I instantly thought of the Eras tour when she performs Wildest Dreams and the Bad Blood remix, the mashup. So the visuals for it, if you don't know, is her laying in a bed and her bed is literally lit on fire, and the lyrics are, my bedsheets are ablaze. So that has me thinking that this song was probably written before the Eras tour officially started. Because if she can include that visual, that makes me believe that she had prior knowledge of it or prior like drafts of this song before the Eras tour officially started. And when your bedsheets are ablaze, let's get into the lyrics. So a bed is a place of comfort, right? It's a place you go to sleep. It's comforting. But when it's on fire, that means the place you found comfort in is now hurting you. If you're screaming his name, so if you are in a bed and it's on fire, and maybe you need to scream for help, right? But instead of screaming for help, she's screaming his name. And it's building up like waves, which ties back to the first verse, which was crashing into him tonight. So they use a lot of water kind of lyricism and also very religious symbolic language too. And I forgot to mention the Blue Nile also is a river.
Denial is a river in Egypt. Your husband is gay.
So lots of like water and religious themes to this. Okay, building up like waves, crashing over my grave. So when I think of this lyrics, so if it's crashing like waves, it could maybe keep her safe if her bedsheets are on fire and if waves are crashing onto it. That could at least like, it'll put out the fire. So it kind of makes her feel safe. So maybe it makes her think that the more she thinks about him, the safer or more comforted she feels. And then when she said crashing over my grave, so when something is great, when in the grave that means dead. So it's either like she feels like, how I interpret it, she feels like her love life or her current relationship or something like that is gone. And the new person being the wave crashing over her is like it's crashing over her old love life and he's taking over her new one. Now, let's get into the bridge. What if I roll the stone away? They're gonna crucify me anyway. What if the way you hold me is actually what's holy? So, more biblical references. And I don't know too much about the Bible, and I'm not a very religious person, but I know rolling the stone, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, an angel came down to move a stone to an entrance. It's typically in a good sense. So if she rolls the stone away, no matter what, they're going to crucify her, especially with how big her love life is. And how big she is as a person. So even if she does good deeds, someone's still gonna find something bad about it, you know, no matter what she does. She could breathe and someone says she's taking action away from us, you know. There's another interpretation. So her rolling the stone could actually mean her taking actions and doing what she is thinking of. Like her actually going to the person, talking to them, and building a relationship. And that's what they're going to crucify her, which turned out to be a little true if you were on Twitter at the time, which was a very interesting time. What if the way you hold me is actually what's holy? So basically that says that even though she's getting all this hate, she does not care whatsoever, because what if he's the one who'll give me grace? Like he's the holy one. Like he'll make me feel comfort. He's what's holy to me. The next part of the bridge is, if a long-suffering propriety is what they want from me, they don't know how you haunted me so stunningly. I choose you and me religiously. Again with the religion. So long-suffering propriety is what they want from me. So a propriety is basically ownership of something. So long-suffering ownership. I kind of get a grasp that she's talking about her unhappy love life currently. So she had a long relationship, and if people want her to still be in that relationship and suffer from it because it seems like they're not getting good things out of each other, and it's kind of like they're not working, but people want them to still be together. He has a long-suffering ownership over her. But even with that in mind, when people ship them, they don't know how he's haunting her so stunningly. So when it's haunting, that means like no matter what, it's like somebody's around you, and it's usually meaning in like a bad sense, like haunting. You know, when your house is haunted, you obviously don't want a haunted house. But when she haunted me so stunningly, so you will linger, but it's kind of in a beautiful sense. Like you haunt me, but in such a beautiful way, and it's like no matter where I go, you're surrounding me. And then finally, I choose you and me religiously. So it ends in a conclusion. She finally made her mind. It's like, am I bad, mad, or wise? She ends with, I choose you and religiously. When something's religiously, it means kind of like forever. You know, it's a repeated thing. You know, when you're religious, you go to church every week. It's repeated. So when you choose someone religiously, you're gonna choose them over and over again, no matter what. And she came to a conclusion at the end, like, hey, I'm gonna choose him. And then it goes back to the chorus. It's the same as the chorus one, so I won't go over that. And then the outro, it still has lyrics from the song, but it's the outro. The outro is that he sent me downtown lights. I hadn't heard in a while. Am I allowed to cry? So it seems like it ties back to the beginning of the song, and things didn't work out quite as she anticipated, because, you know, I haven't heard it in a while, so maybe she hasn't heard from him after she got in contact with him, and now she's feeling like she kind of not ruined her life, but she kind of made the wrong choice, and she's questioning, like, am I allowed to cry? You know, after all the things I've done, am I still allowed to cry? And yes, Taylor, you are allowed to cry. You know, it's a basic human emotion, and you shouldn't deny yourself of that human emotion. That's my analysis of Guilty as Sin. Honestly, this is going to be more like a personal interpretation. You could interpret it a completely different way, and your interpretation is just as right as my interpretation. Let me know what song you want next, or what kind of content you want next. This is kind of like my first dip into the music video world. I do want to start to react to albums. I'm still trying to figure out how that happened, how that is going to work. I went to like analyze the whole album, but I realized that's going to take a long time, and I just think going song by song would just bring more value to the video than just kind of briefly going over every single song, because I can briefly go over every single song, but I don't get much of a message from it. And learning about actually reading the lyrics and try to comprehend and understand them, like, it brings a whole new meaning to the song. That's why I kind of like doing this, because it's kind of like I'll tell you what I found, and I think it's informative, and it's a fun thing to talk about. So let me know if there's a song you want analyzed. That's my analysis as Guilty as Sin, one of the spiciest songs on the Torture Post department. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.